Okay, so this is obviously going to be in English. I will make it pretty slow, but if you don't understand what I'm saying in English, either go for the headphones or put your hand up and I will slow down. I'm an independent consultant, mainly working in the print and design area, although more recently I'm spending a lot of time helping school children and retail companies because they all have the same kind of challenge that we have. So I'm going to try and give you an idea, hopefully one idea each, that you have not thought of before. Because what you've seen so far is a lot of fantastic equipment that produces fantastic output, lots of substrates. What I do most of my life is teach people how to sell. So you may be able to produce the most fabulous stuff in the world. If you can't sell it, you're not going anywhere. And the selling that I do is for printers and for printer suppliers. So many of the suppliers here I have worked with to help their salespeople know how to project their product using benefits rather than features. And the printing industry is very bad at giving customers good ideas why they should buy. So you may just be able to see this. This is really what I get paid for. Future view. Nobody wants to look backwards, although quite often we should do. And what I'm going to try and help you do is think of some ideas that would add value to whatever you produce. So to try and future-proof your investment. This will not be comfortable for many of you. So if you are sitting comfortably, prepare to be a little surprised or scared. And I hope I give you some different ideas. So hopefully you can just see this. This was the last workshop I gave with a 24-year-old software engineer who also went to the same school as me. The audience was about 90 17-year-olds, and in theory what they're really interested in, or what their parents are really interested in, is what qualifications will they get from school or from university. 10 years ago, that would have probably guaranteed them a good job. Not anymore. It's a changing world for them, so this was their question. In many different forms, what do I need to do to get a new or a good job? So our presentation was which jobs will be growing in which industries 5 to 10 years from now. There's a huge list of jobs that technology will wipe. And what they wanted to know was, what should I learn on top of my university degree to get a job? And I think their question is very similar to what I get asked by a lot of printers. And that's why I think it's more or less the same. So this was their major question. This is not my list, but this is Google's, Apple's. Every tech company in London has this list. The education that you have, even as a first-class degree, gets you to the beginning of the race. It does not enable you to compete. And the analogy in printing is buying the equipment gets you to the beginning of the race, but anybody can buy the equipment. It's what you do with it and how you sell it that makes a difference. So this is a scary list. If you think it's scary for the 17-year-olds, it's really, really scary for the parents. Because they just thought if they got a really good degree, went to a really good university, that was it, they have a great job. In my country now, 50–55% of people go to university. So the balance is you need something extra. So the printing industry is kind of the same. What are we good at? We're good at color, quality, maybe delivery. We probably need something extra. How are you going to make money as you go forward? How are you going to differentiate? How are you going to add value? Yes, I know you can do it with products from MGI, HP, etc. But you have to be able to sell it. And you have to be able to do, in packaging, what the previous speaker suggested, you have to produce, and I loved her words, silent salesman. Because if your document that you are asked to print does not sell whatever it is meant to be selling, then it's a failure. And one thing I would suggest to all of you is whenever you receive a job, online, job package, whatever, that somebody in your organization asks your customer, what is this meant to do? Because that will change how you work with your customers. Probably about 2% of printers actually do that, which I find amazing, but I've asked many. So this is just for beginning. If I ask a printer, what are you good at? Oh, fabulous quality, great prices, I can get it to you immediately. So, is that unique? It never was unique, but this is what I get told by many printers. There's a saying in England, and because we have a lot of rain, we have a lot of grass, so it's a very English saying. The grass is always better or greener on the other side. My 24-year-old technology partner said to me, no, the grass is greener where you spend your time or how you water it. And when he was pitching to the students at school, he took out, I think, 5 different mobile cell phones. He said, if you spend all your life on these, what do you think you will be very good at? But everybody can do that. So he said, I would start reducing the number of hours, which for 16 and 17-year-olds is like, okay, you just told me to stop breathing. He said, stop spending your time there. Spend it where you want to live, earn money, enjoy your life. And it's the same kind of message in many ways. Because what is happening today in our industry is a huge jump forward in technology. Inkjet's been around for 30 to 40 years. But in the last 2 or 3 years, all of a sudden, it's coming to production from many different places. The production toner business really hasn't changed for about 15 years. Maybe an extra color, maybe it's heavier substrate, slightly wider, but basically the early 2000s, 2004 was the last time there was major innovation in that part of the market. So what is happening now with inkjet is a huge jump, and the investment that all of the suppliers are putting in is massive. So the time is moving. This isn't all of the machines that came out, most of them in 2017. This is digital print 2 to me, because at the end of the 90s or the beginning of 2000s, there were 3 or 4 suppliers. Now there are about 25 to 30, all going after a smaller market, which is you. So there's a huge amount of change, and as the lady from HP said yesterday, you have to kind of ask yourself the question, can I afford to invest? Actually, the question is, I can't afford not to invest. But it's very difficult to do, because in many people's eyes, a lot of these devices are very expensive. So how do you overcome that problem? This, for many of you, will be a bit shocking, a bit of a surprise, and maybe only 1 or 2 of you will ever do this, but I can almost guarantee that the companies who do will have a fantastic future. So, all of you, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, but I don't think I am, you can all afford any of these. That's, what, 200,000 euros up to close to 1 million, and some of the competitive products go to 5 million euros. And you can all afford any of those. You obviously have to do something slightly different, and I don't mean robbing a bank. Something better than that would be a good idea. So, how do I know this? Well, in 2009, when, particularly at the beginning of 2009, which most of the technology sector, the printing industry, thought it was almost the end of the world, I'd been a consultant for about 5 years, on my own, doing good business, enjoying life, working hard, but earning a reasonable living. Not a fortune, but that was never the aim. But in 2009, I suddenly thought, I need to do something dramatically different, because I know 50 other consultants on the planet, and I may think I'm better than all of them, but I'm probably somewhere in the middle. So I need to do something that puts me in a position, gives me an added value that overtakes or changes the game so that I can compete in a different way. So I've been working with a couple of friends. You can just about see them. A lady on the left-hand side who lived in Canada, and a gentleman who lives in Stockholm. We knew each other very well. We competed with each other as consultants, and we worked with each other. So we were pretty good on strengths and weaknesses of each other. And I suggested to them we should form a group. No boss, all partners, the same level. And they thought that was a good idea, but what I suggested to them that really threw them was, they said, so should we have the headquarters in the UK, in Canada, or Sweden? I said, no, the US. What? None of us live there. So? In this age, I don't need to be in a place to sell. I can do it over the web, I can talk to people through Skype, and all the other technologies that now exist. But this was a bit scary. It was a bit scary for me as a suggestion, but for them it was like, this is really scary. You want me to go and sell in another country that I don't know? I said, well, I want to cover a wider area so we have more chance of getting the business. But it's a bit scary. So I'm going to suggest you do something very similar. You could do it in the US if you wanted to, but it's not quite that scary. What I know several small printers that I work with have already done, and most of them have a little bit of digital, but are mainly offset printers. Most of them are family, so they're 10, 15, 20 people. We worked with them and convinced them that they should form a separate company with the two other printers that they knew best. And they all said, yeah, but they're my biggest competitors. I said, so how well do you know them? Do you know their strengths and weaknesses? Oh yeah, we know exactly their strengths and weaknesses. I said, go talk to them. Form a separate company and purchase the most expensive, best digital equipment, best workflow, best people on the planet. And they said, that's really scary. I said, you don't need to do it, but if you do, I'll almost guarantee you success. Because you're going to work with the people you know. They may be your competitors, but you know them well. So that's my sort of big idea, or small idea, but a little scary. So why should you be doing this today? There have never been more new digital products hitting the market. I would say there's probably more investment globally in inkjet than there is in mobile cell phones, than iPad technology. The overall inkjet jetting technology is moving faster than just about any technology on the planet. So the 2017 list of 25, that will move very fast, and there will be a whole bunch of new companies. I'm already working with 2 companies that want to launch products in 2020 at Drupa. They're not even in the business, but they see an amazing opportunity because of what's happening with inkjet. So, number one, many of them look very expensive, but if you get together, maybe they're not so expensive. The suppliers target shipments, if I add them all up, their target is bigger than most of the available printers in every country. So there is an imbalance there. And lastly, most of the suppliers are coming with new products, and they will do deals with people at the start because they want new machine stories in every country so that they can then sell across the country. I don't know if you are used to seeing one of these. This is a standard product life cycle. I use these all the time to get people to invest, but just a very quick look. The obvious part of this is if you're an innovator or an early adopter, that's where you make the money. In 2006, the top 10 or 15 digital printers in London switched all of their work from offset to digital and started refusing static print. They only accepted variable data cross-media. And they were doing 98% variable content. This was 2006. Most of the world took a long time to catch up with them. These guys are all multi-millionaires, and they were all, I think, without exception, small family companies that started early. Lots of pain, for sure. It wasn't easy, but that's where they made the money. So if you wait until the end, as in digital print, static A3 today, the margins are probably at the same level as offset. And we're 20 years on. So, a few slightly easier ideas. Does everybody know what a SWOT is? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Do one on yourself and your company. Can be a little painful, but it's worth doing. Build your own pitch book. If you sell and you have people selling for you, if you don't have top 10 rules of how to sell, how you pitch the company before you even talk about product, that means everybody's doing whatever they want, which is really confusing for customers. So maybe build one of those. And looking at all the new equipment here, the new areas, wallpaper, ceramics, floor coverings, work out which one is something you would start like to learn on. And rather than spend your time in production, get somebody else to do production. And you focus on new areas where you can grow your business. So they're a little easier. So a SWOT, printer's strengths. Now I do lots of SWOTs with lots of sales groups, and they all write exactly the same thing. For a strength to be good, it needs to be unique, or as close to unique as possible. There's no point putting here price, delivery, quality, because every printer on the planet will use those three. So your strengths really might come down to your personality, your customer contacts, how you work with customers. Weaknesses. People do not like being honest about their weaknesses. This is private, so you can be as honest as possible, because the more honest you are, the more you will see where you need to improve. Opportunities, and you can see I love minions. Opportunities, you need to have a plan and you need action. So you can see an opportunity, and most of the world says, oh, I'd love to go on holiday to Greece. But what percentage actually do anything about it? Lots of people think, oh, I'd really like to do this, I'd really like to do that. Opportunities are there to be taken. You need a plan and you need to act. Just thinking of an opportunity, and this is my favorite. I tried to find a minion that was doing this, because most of the challenges for printers is that they think the world hasn't changed, and therefore they don't need to. So ask yourself how often you change your mobile or cell phone, because that's how often you should change your website. And lots of other things, okay? We had a company for 6 years. We changed the website dramatically 3 times in 6 years. One of the ways I interpret how good a printer is what their website looks like, just as a customer. So pitch book. So how to sell. It doesn't need to be big, it just needs to be, what are the rules? How do you talk about your company? What you deliver that's different? And it may be people personalities, that doesn't matter, as long as it's different. And where of these are you going? Which of the new areas would you like to focus on? Because you really, really need to pick one and learn about it. It may take you 2, 3, 5 years, but the sooner you start, the better. So really easy, and I hope that many of you already do this, but just in case you don't, if you're going to a new customer, or if a new customer contacts you, or a new lead, and you're going to send them a sample, make sure you send them a sample that is relevant to their business. Customers have great difficulty when they're a car manufacturer and you send them a fantastic printout of a bottle. Because unless it has wheels on it, they can't work out why it's relevant to them. So make sure your samples are relevant to the customer. And with the equipment you have, producing individual samples is very easy. I know many companies 10, 15 years ago started doing this in the UK. They started bringing design in-house. They had worked with designers, but they really needed to understand what designers wanted. So either work very closely with a number of designers or maybe employ your own designer. Because if you go into the packaging world, some of the examples you have seen are mind-blowing. They're all down to really good designers. And the last one, a huge books, layouts of samples. Keep them, build them. There is a company in the UK very similar to GraphCom that builds for each customer their own sample book, just to get them going. And it's something I think everybody enjoys doing. Hopefully you can see this lovely multicolored image. Probably more than anything, as they say in football, play what is in front of you. even if you have to change your plans, be adaptable. Being bright is one thing, but being adaptable is much better than being the brightest brain, because you're always looking ahead, you're always trying to see what's coming. My selling course, some of the suppliers that I work with don't like this, but it's true. You shouldn't buy anything until you've worked out how to sell it. I don't know how many printers have bought something and they've said to me, well, we have this new digital machine, unfortunately the volume we expected is not there. So I said, so did you do any planning beforehand? Were you going after new customers? Do you have new jobs? And that's what you obviously need to do. And you probably can't see this, but this is for all of the manufacturers, in fact everybody who sells. Sell the problem you solve, not the product. If I'm teaching salespeople, I do benefits, benefits, benefits. I actually never, if I get a good salesperson, hear about what the feature is, because it's buried in the benefit to the customer. So think about that. And an easy one to start with, I do this with salespeople all the time, and I must say I'm horrified most of the time. So what are the benefits of these chairs, not the features? Do it with a clicker, a pen, and start to learn how to do that with all of the normal everyday products. So you start to think benefits the whole time. The favorite one with the sales guys is, well, it's made of wood. Okay, so how's that a benefit? Oh, no, okay, that's a feature. And we get there, but just do this for yourself. Teach yourself how to do it. It's very easy once you start. And dreaming or thinking is very, very good, but at the end of the day, you have got to change if you want to gain. You can do a small change if you want to, and you will probably get a small gain. If you want a really big change, then go and compete in my country or some other country. Do something different. Use your knowledge of people as well as printing, because time's running. So I'm hoping from this that 1, 2, 3 of you, maybe 1 here and 2 not here, will go away and form the new Limitless Digital Trio, which is my name for the new company. And last but not least, you can wish, you can have a goal. If you don't have a plan, you might as well go on holiday. Thank you very much.
Το χρώμα αλλά και το φημίρισμα, ειδικά στο packaging, αλλάζει τελείως η εικόνα. Αποδείχνουμε πολυτέλεια με το φημίρισμα, δηλαδή απογειώνεται η εικόνα. Όταν έχουμε ένα spot UV και τονίζουμε τα χρώματα σε κάποιο σημείο, αμέσως θα τραβήξει το μάτι. Οι νέες ψηφιακές μεθόδοι που εφαρμόζονται πλέον μας δίνουν τη δυνατότητα και της αφής ακόμα. Κάνουμε το 3D UV. Τα αποτελέσματα είναι πάρα πολλά. Δηλαδή μπορούμε να εφαρμόσουμε αρκετά πράγματα πάνω στο packaging. Το packaging μάλλον μπορεί να εφαρμόσει όλα όσα βγαίνουν. Το αντέχει.
Κάποιος άλλος συμμετέχει? Okay, one more question now for you, Chris. It's in English, so I have to read it, okay? What changes do you expect the new digital printing technology to deliver to the market? Not only printing ink, but also printing varnish.
So, one of the areas you may look at, and this may be outside everybody's comfort zone, is 3D related. And I don't know how many of you do any 3D printing, but that is probably the fastest growing area in lots of unusual places, some of which you may want to work in. I'll give you just one example. Teeth. Within 5 years, the dentists believe that all of the replacement and repairs to teeth will be inkjetted. And this is the scary bit. The scary bit is I have already seen a 3D inkjet dentist machine that works in mouth, that will build a new tooth in a few minutes. So I know that's probably outside my comfort zone and outside your comfort zone, but look at what is happening as you understand the technology of offset, and probably many of you understand the technology of toner and what its limits are and what its capabilities are. Start beginning to read, learn a little about inkjet, because it will change all of our lives on the technology side. And the other part, obviously, is all the workflow, because workflow will replace probably most of the operator touches to a document within 2, 3, 5 years. Very, very fast. Those are my 2 areas.
Thank you very much. Yes?
Έχουμε μια ερώτηση για την ελληνική αγορά της κρίσης. Ποια είναι η ερώτηση αγγλικά, θα την άκουσα αγγλικά για να ρωτήσω. Και οι φίλοι και από εκεί και πέρα, ευχαριστώ πολύ. Ας μας δώσει ο φίλος μας έτσι μια απάντηση. Πολύ μεγάλη βερμικούς εταιρεία, ζητάει προσφορά, δεν την ενδιαφέρει αν θα είναι digital ή offset. Το μόνο που την ενδιαφέρει είναι η τιμή. Όλα τα υπόλοιπα χρειάζεται να τα αποφασίσει ο printer, ο supplier.
Okay, we have a company that they ask an offer for, let's say, the only thing that they matter is the price, and they want to make varnish and foil and whatever, but the only thing that matters is the price. What the printer should do, or what the lamination company, the finishing company must do in order to take the job. Sell better, huh?
Most of the suppliers have good salespeople, but most of them get trained or retrained every 2 years on how to sell, how to add the value to the page for them, and it's the same for you. I have probably given 500 or more courses, hours, webinars on how to sell, how to overcome that kind of challenge, because initially you can't, but you need to find out what people do when they sell products. Most printers, most owners, when I say to them, when did you last go on a sales course? They just look at me and laugh. And they go, what? I've never been on a sales course. So I say to them, you'll invest huge amounts of money in a piece of hardware, but you won't invest a day on learning the basics of selling in 2018. Just as an example, and I hope I got the numbers about right. Before the credit crunch, in the printing industry, to get an order for print used to take on average 2 to 3 visits, calls, communications with the customer. Now it takes 6 to 8. And you need to know how to handle that. For example, to the salespeople who are selling big inkjet devices, my first comment to them is, when you visit the customer, you do not talk about products on the first visit. That's absolutely forbidden. What you need to find out is what the customer's challenges and problems are. And if that takes you 3 visits, you have more chance of selling your product 6 months later than any of your competitors. So we try and ban salespeople talking product and try and get them to understand that they have to help people with their problems. And they're not interested in all the features, everything that it does. They will be at some point in time, but it really comes down to selling. And it's the same for you as it is for most of the suppliers, because selling inkjet is completely different to selling toner machines. Totally different. I hope that helps.
Thank you. Παρακαλώ.
Η ερώτηση έχει να κάνει με το εξής. Σχεδιάζεις ένα προϊόν. Τι πληρώνεσαι εκτός από την παραγωγή του προϊόντος? Πληρώνεσαι για την προστιθέμενη αξία? Δεύτερη ερώτηση πάνω σε αυτό. Υπάρχει έννοια του copyright πάνω στο σχεδιασμό ενός προϊόντος, το οποίο αύριο μεθαύριο θα δοθεί σε μια εταιρεία, αλλά από εκεί πέρα, αν ο σχεδιασμός είναι καινοτόμος, μπορεί να χρησιμοποιηθεί από άλλες εταιρείες ο ίδιος ακριβώς σχεδιασμός σε ένα βιομηχανικό προϊόν? Για την κυρία και τον κύριο, αλλά περισσότερο αφρόμαστε στην κυρία, γιατί νομίζω έχει ενδιαφέρον πάνω.
Για την επανάληψη του σχεδιασμού, έχω να πω ότι αν δεν είναι κάτι πολύ καινοτόμο, το πρώτο πράγμα που θα πρέπει να κάνουμε είναι να το πατεντάρουμε. Αυτό έχει μια διάρκεια ζωής. Οπότε για αυτή τη διάρκεια που θα έχουμε την πατέντα, σαφώς δεν μπορεί κάποιος άλλος να αντιγράψει ακριβώς το ίδιο σχέδιο. Να το παραποιήσει και να είναι παρόμοιο με αυτό που θα έχουμε σχεδιάσει, συμβαίνει. Στην Ελλάδα ζούμε. Και όχι μόνο, και παντού. Δεν υπάρχει παρθενογέννηση. Όλοι από κάπου αντιγράφουμε κάτι. Η ερώτησή σας αν πληρώνεται ο σχεδιασμός, δυστυχώς.
Πόσο αυξάνεται η αξία του
εγώ το θεωρώ δεδομένο. Όταν σχεδιάζεις μια καινοτόμα συσκευασία, καταρχήν ξεχωρίζεις το ράφι. Αυτό αυτόματα σου αυξάνει τις πωλήσεις. Από την αύξηση των πωλήσεων θα έρθουν και τα κέρδη. Και δίνοντας υπεραξία, δηλαδή προστιθέμενη αξία που θα δώσουμε με ένα φινίρισμα, είναι σίγουρο ότι θα την εισπράξετε πίσω. Δεν υπάρχουν νούμερα. Η κάθε εταιρεία θα πρέπει να κάνει αυτόν τον απολογισμό μόνη της.
Συγχωρέστε με, δεν ήταν αν εσύ είσαι αυτός ο οποίος έχει το προϊόν, είναι αν πληρώνεται αυτός ο οποίος σχεδιάζει το προϊόν. Δηλαδή η θέση της Κοσκινίδης, όχι η θέση του. Δηλαδή, αν εσείς όταν σχεδιάζετε αυτό,
κοιτάξτε να δείτε, στην αρχή
θα πληρωθείτε πέραν των ωρών που θα δαπανίσετε, αν έχετε και ένα benefit από την ιστορία.
Ανάλογα σε ποιον απευθύνομαι. Όταν θα έρθει μια μικρή εταιρεία και θα μου ζητήσει να τη σχεδιάσω, θα τη κάνω το πρώτο σχέδιο, το δεύτερο σχέδιο, το τρίτο σχέδιο και δυστυχώς έτσι όπως έχει διαμορφωθεί η αγορά, δεν χρεώνει κανένας αυτές τις εργατόρες. Τις επομίζεται η εταιρεία παραγωγής. Είναι μέσα στο σύνολο του κόστου. Εάν όμως έρθει μια πολύ μεγάλη εταιρεία, πολυεθνική, και με βάλει να σχεδιάσω για μήνες ή εβδομάδες, αυτό το project θα πρέπει να αποστολογηθεί. Άρα έχει να κάνει με το ποιον έχεις απέναντί σου και πόσο χρόνο σου καταναλώνει παραγωγικά. Γιατί πραγματικά το σχεδιαστήριο, το οποίο έχω την ευθύνη στην εταιρεία που δουλεύω, έχει 5 άτομα σχεδιαστές, οι οποίοι δεν φαίνονται πουθενά. Είναι ένα παραγωγικό κόστος, το οποίο εγώ θα πρέπει να το έχω εντάξει μέσα στο σύνολο της παραγωγής. Είναι έτσι όπως έχουν διαμορφωθεί τα πράγματα στον ελλαδικό χώρο, γιατί στο εξωτερικό δεν νομίζω ότι σημαίνει αυτό.
Νομίζω έχει να κάνει και με τον πελάτη τελικά όμως.
Ναι.
Η σχέση του πελάτη, πόσα χρόνια είναι μαζί μας, το χτίσιμο είναι αυτό.
Εννοείται.
Συγγνώμη.
Τώρα εγώ δεν ήθελα να παρέμβω, αλλά έχω την αίσθηση ότι η ερώτηση που συζητάμε δεν έχει μπει στη σωστή βάση. Δηλαδή, η Κοσκινίδης, λόγου χάρη, μπορεί να παρέχει την υπηρεσία του σχεδιασμού χωρίς χρέωση.
Συγγνώμη, νομίζω ότι πρέπει να ακούει και ο... It's better for you, Christian.
Δυστυχώς δεν είναι μόνο η θέση της Κοσκινίδης.
Θα σας πω. Εσείς μπορεί να κατευθύνετε τον πελάτη σε μία μοναδική τροποντινά λύση παραγωγής που δεν μπορούν να αντιγράψουν οι ανταγωνιστές σας και έτσι προτείνετε το σχεδιαστικό ως δωρεάν υπηρεσία προκειμένου να φέρετε τον πελάτη στα δικά σας τεχνολογικά μονοπάτια. Αλλά σαφέστατα μια υπηρεσία που έχει κάποιο κόστος, είναι προφανές ότι πρέπει με κάποιο τρόπο να χρεώνεται, ακόμα και αν αυτό το κόστος είναι αφανές για τον πελάτη. Δηλαδή, είμαι σίγουρος ότι μια εταιρεία όπως η δική σας, μπορεί εσείς να έχετε την αίσθηση σαν σχεδιάστρια ότι στην προσφορά που υπέβαλε δεν το χρέωσε, αλλά σίγουρα έχει συνυπολογιστεί. Δηλαδή, είναι σχεδόν ανόητο κάποιο σήμερα να παρέχει μια υπηρεσία.
Δεν είναι κοστολογημένο.
Είναι σίγουρα κοστολογημένο και είναι και τιμολογημένο. Αν κάποιοι συνάδελφοι.
Δεν είναι ξεχωριστό κόστος που επιβάλλει.
Προσέξτε, επειδή ο πελάτης πολλές φορές μπορεί να μην έχει συνηθίσει να αναγνωρίζει τα κόστη ή να μην θέλει να τα βλέπει, μια εμπορική πολιτική μπορεί να τα αποκρύπτει. Επομένως, επειδή είχατε πει πριν λίγο ότι αρκετοί συνάδελφοι δυστυχώς δεν χρεώνουν τις υπηρεσίες, αυτό είναι μια πολύ λανθασμένη γραμμή. Αν σήμερα το κάνω εγώ, αύριο θα το κάνει ο ανταγωνιστής μου, μεθαύριο άλλος και τελικά όλοι θα κλείσουμε. Έτσι δεν είναι? Άρα πρέπει να χρεώνονται αυτές οι υπηρεσίες και πρέπει να είναι και σαφές για τον πελάτη. Ναι, και στην Ελλάδα. Νομίζω ότι όσο περνάνε τα χρόνια βρεθήκαμε σε ένα ναδύρ των χρεώσεων, των υπηρεσιών, των σχεδιαστικών και έχω την αίσθηση ότι πλέον γίνεται συνείδηση στους πελάτες, τους σοβαρούς τουλάχιστον, ότι έχει κάποιο κόστος αυτό. Δηλαδή, τουλάχιστον έτσι αισθάνομαι εγώ. Όχι. Στην πρότασή σου μπορεί να είναι χαμηλή η χρέωση, αλλά μπορεί να είναι ενδεικτική ότι κάτι κάνω για σένα. Είναι μήνυμα η χρέωση, αλλά υπάρχει. Για να ξέρεις ότι δεν είναι δωρεάν δηλαδή. Γιατί μετά το ξεχυλώνω.
Με τη σχέση που έχεις με τον πελάτη. Και πώς τον αντιμετωπίζεις.
Και νομίζω είναι τελείως διαφορετικός ο τρόπος κοστολόγησης όταν μιλάς για 50.000 κουτιά ή για 50 κουτιά. Και ο τρόπος κοστολόγησης και η παραγωγική διαδικασία, ειδικά αν δεν είναι offset, είναι inkjet. Νομίζω ότι είναι ένα σύνολο πραγμάτων που πρέπει να υπολογιστεί. Δεν νομίζω ότι μια απάντηση ναι ή όχι είναι άσπρο ή μαύρο. Νομίζω ότι είναι σύνολο πραγμάτων.
Δυστυχώς έχουμε μπει στο. Εγώ δεν θέλω να πάρω το μονόλογο, να κάνω μονόλογο. Απλά θέλω να πω το εξής. Η κοστολόγηση είναι ένα κομμάτι το οποίο σε αυτή τη φάση δεν μας αφορά. Γιατί δεν μας αφορά, γιατί όπως είπε πριν ο Chris, το θέμα είναι τι πουλάς ώστε να καρποθείς το margin. Αν κοιτάμε συνεχώς το κόστος, δηλαδή, δεν κάνουμε δουλειά. Είμαστε σε λάθος meeting εδώ πέρα. Γιατί το κόστος εδώ των συστημάτων είναι τεράστιο σε σχέση με αυτό που πραγματικά μπορούν να παράξουν τουλάχιστον σε άμεση φάση. Όπως και πριν, ας πούμε, η απάντηση, ο κύριος που έθεσε την ερώτηση για το διαγωνισμό που ζητάει το χαμηλότερο κόστος, προφανώς δεν έχει δουλευτεί καθόλου στο κομμάτι του sales. Έφτασε λοιπόν σε ένα διαγωνισμό που δεν έχει βάλει τις προδιαγραφές του, δεν έχει εμφυσίσει στον πελάτη. Ότι πρέπει αυτός να είναι ο επιλεγμένος supplier, ο preferred vendor σε κάθε περίπτωση, αλλά φτάνει να κάνει μια προσφορά σε ένα πελάτη που δεν το ξέρει καν. Πώς θα κέρδισει εκεί πέρα, δηλαδή. Δεν ξέρω αν αυτό έχει μια βάση, αλλά νομίζω ότι έτσι.
I guess the answer is there are all sorts of customers. Some of them are very easy to get whatever price you would like out of them, but the great majority of printers start with a cost plus model. I start with a value minus model. So I just start from a totally different place. The other thing you may like to try, and I have worked with some printers who have done this. I'm married to a very, very good sales lady, and most women are better at selling than most men because they are empathetic with the customer. So most of the sales teams that I train move from 100% male to about 60-40 within 2 to 3 years. I have seen impossible customers order at amazing prices just by changing the salesperson. And that's, you know, you have to change something if you're constantly hitting the price question. First of all, you have to change the way you sell, but you also may have to change the person you are using to sell. A lot of owners do the selling, but in most cases, there are better people in the company to sell. but they have never been given the chance to do it. And a lot of you have what I would call hidden gems in your company, who maybe could do some other things than what they're doing today. That doesn't, you know, you will always have difficult customers. I have some very difficult customers, and I have some very easy customers that I love working with. Unfortunately, I have to work with both in order to make a reasonable living. In the same way as I have customers that pay me in 30 days and customers that pay me in 180 days, if I'm lucky. But I have to work and balance with both. And I know from your faces that you all have exactly the same challenges.
Όσοι ήταν και χθες εδώ, θα έκανα μια παρόμοια ερώτηση στον κύριο έξω από την εκδοχή και θα ήθελα να κάνω και μια παρόμοια εδώ από την κυρία Καρκαζή. Αυτό που βλέπουμε να συμβαίνει τα τελευταία χρόνια στην Ελλάδα, και δεν νομίζω όχι μόνο στην Ελλάδα, είναι ότι έρχονται μεγάλες εταιρείες κηπιοπίας και αγοράζουν τοπικές εταιρείες. Αυτό έχει σαν αποτέλεσμα ότι οι ελληνικές εταιρείες στριμώχνονται όλο και περισσότερο. Δυσκολεύονται όλο και περισσότερο για να βγουν πέρα. Εάν το θέλετε υπό μία έννοια, αυτός είναι και ο λόγος που εμείς ήρθαμε εδώ και φωνάζουμε και προσπαθούμε να πούμε δημιουργικότητα ενάντια στην παραγωγή. Δημιουργικότητα ενάντια στο συνηθισμένο, σε αυτό που το ξέρουμε όλοι και το κάνουμε και χτυπιέται από όλους. Η εντύπωση που έχετε είναι ότι μπορεί η ελληνική βιομηχανία συσκευασίας, ενώ η εκτυπωτική, να αντισταθεί σε αυτό που συμβαίνει. Και με ποιο τρόπο πιστεύετε ότι θα γίνει αυτό? Εσείς το αντιμετωπίζετε κάθε μέρα, δηλαδή η γνώμη σας είναι...
Διαφοροποίηση θα πρέπει, μάλλον οι ελληνικές εταιρείες θα πρέπει να διαφοροποιηθούν. Μέσα παροχή υπηρεσιών, δηλαδή σχεδιασμός για το packaging θα μιλήσω. Θα ακολουθήσουμε τα βήματα που έχουν οι μεγάλες εταιρείες σαφώς. Θα πρέπει να υπάρχει εξωστρέφεια και θα πρέπει να γίνονται και επενδύσεις.
Πιστεύετε ότι μπορείτε να τους ακολουθήσετε ή βλέπετε άλλους δρόμους, άλλους τρόπους ικανούς για να αντισταθείτε σε αυτό που συμβαίνει?
Το μόνο πρόβλημα που βλέπω εγώ είναι πώς θα τα απεξέλθουμε στα μειωμένα κόστη που εκείνοι έχουν μειώσει. Δηλαδή έχουν επενδύσει πάνω σε αυτό και έχουν μειώσει τα κόστη. Διαφορετικά παραγωγικά είμαστε εισάξιοι. Και αυτό το πιστεύω ακράδαντα.
Αυτό είναι παρήγορο για όλους μας.
Διαλέξτε μου 2 από τα 3, ταχύτητα παράδοσης, ποιότητα εκτύπωσης και δημιουργικότητα στο προϊόν. Και από τα 3 διαλέγετε.
Δεν θα διαλέξω κανένα από τα 3 γιατί είναι αλληλένδετο.
Ευχαριστούμε πολύ. Κάτι άλλο? Χάνεις, οκ. Το πρόγραμμα. Ευχαριστούμε πολύ.